What's up you guys, Tommy Shaw here, and today's topic is going to be about the credit crunch. What is it? How does it affect? What is the central banks trying to do to prevent from that happening, okay? First of all, we need to understand what is a balance sheet. Well, a balance sheet is comprised of, on the left side, the assets that generate income for the business. On the right side, it's all the financing. Okay, as you can see, capital and equity and long-term debt comprise of the financing to buy assets. Okay, when I understood this, I understood that capital and long-term debt is essentially how you finance that deal. Okay, so what's been happening in the last years is that the cost of debt has been going down. So if debt costs less than equity and capital because shareholders are asking, I don't know, let's say 10% per year, and the cost of debt is around 3% before deductibles, so you bring it down to almost 1.5%, that increases your chances of borrowing, because if you can borrow at 1.5-3% per year while investors are seeking 10%, you're going to go towards borrowing. It makes it's logic, okay? They don't have anything to say about the business, and you borrow money, you don't have to talk to shareholders or anybody, and nobody else is controlling that business. Now, let's look at the economy. Leveraging is very good when the economy is booming or stable. If it's stable or booming, leverage is good. Now, in a recession, debt has a negative effect. Okay, that's where debt has a problem. It's very good when the economy is booming or stable, but it's very bad when we go into recessions. Now, in a recession, debt gets defaulted on. When it gets defaulted, essentially it disappears. So this is a contraction. This is a deflationary effect on the economy, because when you remember, assets comprise of long-term debt and equity. If long-term debt starts to go down, well, this has to decrease the value of assets. When assets go down, shareholders, they can buy that and get a better yield. If you prevent that from coming down, you prevent the economy from having anything that's productive in the economy. So the effects have an effect. Deflation, assets fall in value. To prevent this scenario from happening, central banks inject trillions of dollars in the economy. They either buy, right now they're looking at buying ETF, large caps, corporate debts, and the yield curves. When they do quantitative easing, they essentially buy the long-term yield curves to bring everything down. This is artificial, because the economy right now, if what we're going to be seeing, there's a supply shock, so there's a good chance that we will see inflation. If we see inflation, then the yield curve should go up, because it should compensate for the loss of purchasing power. All right? So that essentially is the credit crunch. This is a powerful force, because it wants to bring everything towards the medium. If it is artificially inflated, bubbles always pop at a certain point, and when it pops, you could try to inflate it again, but the force to bring it at the fair value is sometimes a lot stronger than central banks. Alright, so let's look at this again. The credit crunch, what is it, how it is, where is it? It's in the balance sheet. It's in the long-term debt, because right now we're in an economy where there's not a lot of equity, but there's a lot of debt, because assets give around 7% return, and if the debt's costing you 3%, that has a positive leverage effect. Now the economy, debt is good when the economy is booming or stable. It's bad when it goes into recession. Sometimes debts get defaulted on, and sometimes they'll reduce the amount that the company owes to debtors, because they either have nothing or a little bit of something. All right. So in recessions, debts get defaulted on, affects deflation, assets fall in value. To prevent this scenario from happening, central banks inject trillions of dollars. This is a massive inject in the economy. Okay, you have to understand this because nothing is rolling right now. No money's coming in. Businesses are essentially worth nothing right now because if you look at it from a fundamental value standpoint, at this moment there is no future cash flow in the short term. So if you reduce future cash flow in the short term, you essentially reduce the net value. I said that wrong. The companies still have value, but in the short term it reduces drastically their net asset value. Alright, so that's that on today's video. If you like this kind of information, like the video, subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next video. Thank you.